He's gonna die. He's gonna fight me. He's something like me. He thinks he's awesome.
Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking. This is Unfair. Unfair is a game in which each person is going to be creating their own amusement park full of rides, attractions, employees, and what have you. This harkens back to like Roller Coaster Tycoon or Theme Park, computer games that I loved playing when I was younger, and there's been a few games about amusement parks that I've enjoyed. I think the theme hasn't really been delved into enough, in my personal opinion. And so when I found out about this one, I saw it at Gen Con, I was very, very intrigued. I took the game home, and it is fantastic. It's a ton of fun. So let me show you how the game of Unfair is played, and we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. This is Unfair, the card game where you're going to be making your amusement park and trying to make it as good as you possibly can. The game takes place over the course of 8 rounds, and there's several different things that will happen during each one of those rounds. So let me just show you how the game works, and then I can tell you what I think. Alright, so to begin with, each person is going to get a main gate, and everybody gets the same card. You see this little star over here, that's very important. The stars kind of determine like how good your location is. So you get one to start with. It says here the capacity is 15, so that is the maximum amount of people that are actually going to come and visit your park, and that is actually determined by the stars that are located in your particular amusement park. Now you can get cards and other things that allow you to increase your capacity, so that can change, but that's very important that you just keep that in mind. There is a total attractions, basically rides or restaurants or things that people are going to want to come to your park to look at, of 5, and then you get a super attraction. You get possibility of building one of those. Alright, so you just place this down on the middle of the board. You'll be putting your attractions to the right of the board, and you'll be placing everything else that you might build, like different resources or employees. You'll put those on the left hand side. This is a loan card. It starts off being face down. As you play the game, you turn it over. That means you've taken 5 coins, and so just basically because you needed the coins to be able to build things. You can take out another loan, and then it's 10 take another 5 coins, and so forth until a maximum of 4 loans can be taken. However, you'll notice that you're going to have minus negative points at the end of the game. You can't repay this with money. You have to take the points hit at the end of the game. So that's something to keep in mind. If you want to take the loan, each person has the option of doing that. And a lot of people end up, because money is a kind of a tight resource, especially when you want to be able to, purchase like a really good attraction that might be out there that's staring at you. I shouldn't say purchase, because you get to take the card for it, but to build it, you have to pay the coins. And so you'll find yourself in situations where you will, because it's an investment into scoring more points later. Alright, so each person starts with 20 coins. They have these cute little circles here. I'll be completely honest, because it is a game that I play, I didn't use those. I use poker chips. But anyway, regardless, doesn't matter. Each person gets 5 cards to start with. You just take and you deal out 5 to each person. If you don't get one that says attraction on it, you reveal your cards to everybody. You get to shuffle them back into that giant deck, and then you get to draw another 5. Now, I should mention one thing. Depending upon the number of players that you play with, you'll be playing with a different amount. I'm pretending I'm playing with 4 people, so I have all 4 of the theme decks that are in there. The 4 theme decks that you have access to are the jungle, the pirates, the robots, and the vampires. And so you can determine this randomly if you have less than 4 players. If you have 4 players, you put all 4 in. You can use those cards to just draw randomly to see which 2 decks or 3 decks, if you have 2 or 3 players, you're going to be playing with. You'll notice that on some cards, let me see if I can find one here. Of course, I don't have one, but here, let me dig one out here. On some cards, like, you will actually see the fact that they are, like, themed. Like, here's like the vampire theme that you can add to a ride or something like that. And so you can tell pretty easily which cards match up with the different themes. And of course, I just dropped that one. There's a pirate theme. Woo! So very straightforward as far as the different themes, and when you get done with the game, it's very easy to separate out the decks, so you make sure you have the right cards for the right things. All right, so you get 2 showcase cards. These are the Big Daddy rides. You can see they cost a lot to play. They're worth 20 coins. They have 3 stars each on them, and then you're able to use these. And they also have special powers. So, like Vlad's Impaler here, during the event step, and I'm going to be referencing things that you probably aren't going to understand right now, but just keep that in mind here. During the event step, you may search either the park deck or the park discard pile for a staff member card, reveal it, and put it into your hand, shuffle the park deck if you searched it. So, you know, pretty straightforward. And once per guest step, gain 4 coins for each pirate theme upgrade and open attraction in all parks. So, pretty cool. So, I'm just going to take a moment. The art in this game is awesome. I mean, and like, the more you look at some of the art, like the more you kind of glance at it, the more like you'll see little tiny hidden things. I mean, they really did a really good job with this. But so, and you can kind of see down there, you can see which decks these belong to: a pirate and vampire. You know, obviously. But okay, so they have 3 stars each, and I'll show you some of the other ones here in just a little bit. And some of these things will already have, like, the vampire and pirate on there to show that that is the theme. You can't put, like, a pirate theme on something that's already piratey, but you could have a card that had a vampire theme, and you could add it to the Skullcliff Stronghold, you know, to show that it's not only is it piratey themed, but it's vampire pirates or robot pirates or whatever. And so you can add different themes onto different things. So this is your super attraction, so this would not count against the 5 attractions that you're allowed to build. Now, you can only build one of these. And so they do remain hidden. You keep these kind of face down, but they don't count against your hand size. Hand size is 5 in this game, so, but those won't count against it. Alright, so you start off with these 5 cards, and then you go through the different phases. You can see there's the event phase, the city phase, like the event play phase, and then you have your 3 different park actions you can do. Sometimes some people have like a certain card, I think they'll give them a 4th action, and then you count up your guests, which will determine how much money you make, and then you just clean up, and then you're going to go ahead and redo it again. Alright, so walking through each one. In the event phase, each person gets to draw an event card. Now, event cards have a good thing that kind of gives you ability, like build an upgrade from your hand immediately for free. That's pretty good ability. Or powerful friends. You may discard this card from your hand to block a city planning event from affecting you. So, and city cards are these. So, and this is like a card that you probably wouldn't want to play. You'd be holding on to this. Now, event cards do count against your hand size, so you have to keep that in mind. But definitely, it's one of those things where because you can't really build an upgrade right now since you wouldn't have any attractions out just yet. But maybe you'd hold on to that until like the next turn. Now, let's just look at another one. Just so you have an idea of something else. So here's like a celebrity guest. You'll notice there's a little pin in there. That means that this is something that it will affect later in the turn. So close all attractions in your park except one. Guest step, gain 3 extra coins for each guest visiting your park. You know, so you gain this little extra bonus or whatever with that. Now, or headhunting. Choose a staff member in any park and move them to your park. So this is where the unfair comes in. You're able to play these cards and you're able to mess with other players and take their things. Let's just see here. Here's like one, efficiency. You may take up to 4 actions. This is one of those things that allows you to take that 4th action. Safety, you may discard this card from your hand to block an inspection event from affecting you. And obviously you're wondering, like, an inspection, I'm going to see if I can find one here. But, like, there are bad things. Like, inspection would inspect a ride and close somebody's ride down. But here's vandalism. Choose a quality or theme and upgrade in any park and demolish it. So that way you can, like, ruin somebody or mess with them. So, the event cards, obviously, are a lot of where the unfair comes from. And where you're able to harm another person with, you know, your actions or whatever. So, you draw an event card, and then you reveal the top city card. Now, the city events, there's going to be 4 that are really good, and then there are 4 that aren't as good. So here's one. It's like a 2-for-1 deal. This round, all players are affected by, during the park step, once this round you may pay to build an attraction or upgrade from the market. You may immediately build your choice of another attraction or upgrade from the market up to the same amount for free. So, it's something really good. It's literally a 2-for-1 deal. So that would be what's affecting it this particular turn. Now, I'm going to mention that there's 4 rounds in, there's that public notice that basically says you can't purchase blueprints anymore. Blueprints are cards, and I'll show those to you in just a little bit. Blueprints are cards that allow you to earn some bonus points at the end of the game. And I'll explain that and what the is maybe possibly bad about them in just a little bit here when I talk about taking your turns. But here it's like an unfair, like a bad thing. This round, all players are affected by public condemnation. Close all sideshows. So if you have a sideshow, the city ruins that. Let's just look at one more of these. And so here's annual insurance. Spend 1 coin for each attraction card and each upgrade card in your park. If you cannot demolish upgrades and attractions to reduce the total. Oh my gosh, that's killer. So I mean, because you're being forced to destroy your stuff if you don't have the money to back it up. So stuff like that, very very can be harmful. And the first 4 rounds, good. Last 4 rounds, bad. All right, so. Now, during the event section, during the play card, each person can either play an event card, activate an ability of an attraction they have, or something like that, and each person takes a turn doing that. You go around the table doing that until everybody passes. Now, this is a game, and I like this, where if you pass and then somebody else takes an action, you have the ability to take another action if you wanted to. So, like, if you pass thinking you want to go last, because you have something you want to spring on somebody, but then everybody else passes after you, you don't get to do it. But if you pass and then say another person passes, then another person passes, then the person right before you, takes an action, then you're able to jump back in and do it. I like that about the game. I do find that that's fun. It's kind of like, are my friends gonna do something bad to me? Will I be able to react to it? That sort of thing. So I like that. But anyway, after you get done with the event phase, then you actually get to do your 3 park actions, or possibly 4. During the park step, you have several different actions you can do. You can draw a card. With drawing cards, you just draw one of the cards from the middle, then replace it and put it back in. You don't pay for the card until you actually build it and put it into your attractions. If you'd rather, you can take the top 2 cards off of any of the decks. Now, you can't mix and match. You can't take like 1 event and 1 park. So you could take 2 event cards, 2 park cards, 2 blueprints, choose one, and keep it, and then put it discard the other one. If you don't like either of the ones you draw, you can discard both of them if you want. That's definitely an option. You can also discard any card from your hand and draw 5 park cards and choose one, and then discard the rest. So you can kind of cleanse your hand of a card and go for something really good out of the big giant deck if you want to. Another action you can do is building a card. Building a card is very simple. You're going to just, if you're going to do an attraction, so let's say we wanted to, let's say we took the haunted house, okay? So we have it. So now we want to build it. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to, it's a sideshow, but we're going to put it down, and we're going to pay 13 coins for it. So we take 15 coins, and then we take 2 back, and now we've built that particular attraction. Now, you will notice that there is this little ribbon here, and you will then also notice that if you have upgrades, and let me find one here, like here, where is, let's just take the vending machine. So you can add it, so now it's got a little upgrade, now you can these icons are what's going to determine how many points these things are worth at the end of the game. So let's say then we also gave it I apologize, I need to find a card here that, here, we'll just that's an attraction. Oh, here we go. It's a deluxe one. So then we're going to go ahead and we're adding this to it. So you can see how we're slowly building it up and we're creating it into like a bigger and better attraction. And you know, obviously these things, some of these are going to add stars to them, like the vending machine doesn't add anything to it, but it does add that check mark. Then at the end of the game, it's this attraction is going to be worth more points for it. Now there are, let me find one for you here. There is one that'll cap off your attraction. The one that caps it off, you know, is like this. It says it's a flagpole. And so it's an upgrade feature. And so then you'll notice that it has this bottom part. And so you actually put this like so. So you actually, here, obviously, like you're going to, I can't put these down here because you'd lose them. But so you'd have like that. And you can see that it kind of finishes off the ribbon. Now the flagpole itself doesn't give you any stars or anything, but it has a very, very nice ability that's like when an upgrade on the attraction would be demolished, demolish the flagpole instead. While the attraction has a flagpole, upgrades cannot be added. But it has like, it basically protects you from having one of your upgrades. So if you built a really big giant attraction, you put the flagpole on top and then nobody can like mess with it and destroy it. So that is what building is. And each time you build either an upgrade or an attraction, you have to pay the coins that it costs to do that. As an action, you can demolish a card. You just basically demolish. You get rid of a card that you have. It doesn't have to be an attraction either. If you happen to have hired a balloon artist as your staff member, you could fire this person for whatever reason. I just want to show you this. So, like a balloon artist, once per guest step, gain 5 coins. And add it to the staff member. You may not remove coins until the game ends. But the coins themselves are worth points at the end of the game. So if you get this guy early, you can start feeding him coins. And at the end of the game, he's going to be worth a lot of points, which is pretty awesome. And I wanted to show you this one really quick too. This resource. So here's a resource that says larger capacity. Your park capacity is increased by 3. This is something that you could purchase. And this is a resource. And so that would go on that side of the board. So after everybody takes all of their actions, you're then going to go to guests. During guests, you count up all of the stars that you have in your tableau. For each star that you have, that means one guest is going to come to your park, and they're going to spend 1 coin. Now that's kind of an abstract number that's considered to be like, you know, like those are hundreds of thousands of people, and these, you know, like, so this is like $100,000 instead of just 1 or whatever. So just keep that in mind. But you're going to gain money at the end of the turn based on the number of guests that show up. After all that is done, you go through you get your money, and there's other cards that you're going to have. They're going to mess with that. Remember that, like, when you have like a celebrity guest or whatever, you know, things like that will change up the amount of money you get, and just deal with those when they happen. And then you do the cleanup, which basically means any park events that were, any rides that were closed because of the actions of the other players or yourself, for that matter, reopen again, and they're ready to go the next turn. And so you just clean everything up. You remove all of the cards that are in the middle and replace them with brand new cards. You don't leave those out there for the next turn. And then you start up with the next turn. And I was going to mention, I didn't realize I never talked to you about blueprints. So, and this is actually a good segue because we're going to be talking about who wins the game. So, blueprints are cards you take. Once you take one, you can't get rid of it unless you have like a special card that allows you to get rid of it. For the most part, once you take these, you're stuck with them. Blueprints give you a checklist that you have to do. So complete all items, and then if you complete it, you get 12 points. So any attraction with any guest services upgrade, any guest services upgrade, any guest services upgrade. Meaning it needs 3 guest services upgrades on any of your attractions, and then you gain 12 points. Fairly easy one. There's no second thing because of the fact that it's so easy. So here's one that's more difficult. You need a monorail with superior quality with another superior quality. And then it's worth 29 points. And the bonus target, all attractions are exactly 3 cards in size. So your entire tableau, each attraction has 3 cards. Then it's worth 35 points. More. for that. So obviously it's a ton of points. Now if you are unable to complete a blueprint at the end of the game, it's negative 10 points, as you can see. So if you're going to take a blueprint, don't show it to anybody, for crying out loud, because they are going to make sure you don't get it. And also be very, very careful about being able to succeed at the blueprint that you take. Now notice, you can only get a blueprint during the first 4 rounds of the game, as I said. During the last round, the public notice comes out and no further blueprints will be made available. Alright, so after 8 turns, after the game is done, you're going to score it up. This is the scoring chart. You can see the attraction level, number of icons. Now that's, you can double up on icons, as like that guest services thing. You have to have multiple ones, but you can't have the same thing. You couldn't have like 2 vending machines. You couldn't make something double air conditioned, things like that. So just keep that in mind. So you total the number of icons. Depending on the number of icons, you earn that many points for that particular attraction. You score the blueprints that you have. Every 2 coins are worth 1 point. Some staff members are worth some points, and if you have any loans, you deduct those points at that time. And as with any game, like that has points as a totaling, whoever has the most points at the end of the game of Unfair will win the game. This is one of those games that I love because it combines a lot of things that I really enjoy. I do enjoy card games. I enjoy using cards as resources and things like that. I really enjoy card games that allow me to mess with other players. I enjoy having a big giant deck of cards with all kinds of variable things going on, things that change. And mostly, I mean, I also like the fact that I'm able to build something. I always have enjoyed games where like you can kind of envision envision what you're creating as you play the game. So there you go. This is a really, really fun game because of all of those things. But let me talk about that in my conclusion, and I'll do that right now. Alright, there you go. You should have a really good idea of how to play a game of Unfair. Now, because of the fact that you're dealing with a deck like this huge like this, I mean, it's very difficult for me to show you everything about the game. I mean, the artwork, as I said, is fantastic. And plus, like, each card, each little thing, each little attraction or restaurant or, different employee and things like that, they all are doing those things that I love about games like this, where, like, there's a ton of different cards, there's a ton of different effects, there's a ton of different things that you can build, that you can create, that you can use. And plus, this game's got a lot of really, intermixing between the players. The fact that those like event cards that can be played one way or the other, whether you want to play nice or you want to really stick it to each other. I really like that. I always like cards that have more than one purpose, more than one use, if you will. So just from the get-go, I knew I was probably going to like this one just because of the theme alone. But the fact that it's one of those things that I really love. A card game with tons and tons of cards and tons of effects, and a lot of, like as I said, just interactivity between the players. I was very, very, very happy with the way the game played out, and it's a game that really suits itself towards my gaming group. These are the types of games that really appeal to each and every one of us, and the bottom line is that if you've played games with this tableau type of situation, the mechanisms of the game, the rules of the game are very, very quick to learn. Each player gets a very, very good like crib sheet, if you will, that tells them exactly all the different actions and everything that can happen to them. And so as the game progresses, as the game gets played, it's one of those things where there's no real big AP moment. Also because of the fact that each person isn't taking a turn. Each person actually, now it's the first park turn. Everybody just kind of takes their turn. I mean, obviously there's some things that you kind of have to wait for other people to do, as far as what they're doing. But if they're drawing cards or whatever, it's fine. They're drawing cards. I can't do anything to stop you from drawing cards. I'm going to take my turn now. So the game plays quickly, the game plays efficiently, and most of all, the game plays itself, and the game itself is a lot of fun to play. So for all those reasons and the reasons I specified earlier, Unfair is a blast. If you are looking for an amusement park game, if you like card games that deal with a little bit of screwage, but not a ton. I should mention that the game says unfair, yes, but it isn't one of those things where each person's just like, oh yeah, take this, and take this, and take this, and take this. There isn't that much of it going on, because the event cards are the big thing that you use to mess with other people, and you can't just have a big hand of event cards. I mean, that you just, because you need the attraction. So if you're worried that the game's going to have a little bit too much spitefulness, trust me, there's just enough to make the game interesting, and but not so much that it's overbalanced, if you understand what I'm saying there. So there you go. If you're looking for a game like that, if you're looking for a game about amusement parks, if you're looking for a really, really fun card game, I'd suggest that you check this one out and see if it's something you want to add to your collection. Oh wait, there's one last thing I wanted to mention. There are some things like these cards, these game changer cards. So, plus replayability with tons and tons and tons of cards in that giant deck of cards that you have over here. There are these things called these game changer cards that basically you can incorporate like a rule that has, so like this one is First Date. You remove the 2 unfair city cards from the bottom of the city deck to reduce the game to 6 rounds, and so basically you take it easy on everybody. And then you, World Peace, you cannot use event cards that hurt other people. So if you wanted to play the game in a nice way, in just a gentle way, you could play it that way. Or Grand Opening. Before the game starts, reveal your showcase cards to the player on your left. Those are the 2 super awesome rides that you have. They choose a card for you to start the game with, and already built into your park for free. So yeah, so there's like different ways you can mix it up and make the game. If you're worried about it being too, you can make the game put the little mittens on, and so you can just bat each other around just lightly and have fun building your amusement parks as well. So there you go. So even if you don't like games with a lot of anger and spite, you could still have a lot of fun playing Unfair. So. If you have any questions about the game, ask away. I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch the video. And until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day.